9/11 was the worst ever terrorist attack on U.S. soil. 5 prisoners in Guantanamo Bay are accused of helping kill thousands of Americans. 20 years after the attack, they're still waiting to go on trial. Catherine Herridge spoke with a woman whose fiancé was killed in 9/11. Melissa Long has visited Guantanamo to push for a trial. She calls it a case of justice delayed, justice denied.
He was a firefighter. We just had a very different connection than anybody I'd ever been with before, and I truly loved him.
Melissa Long is describing her fiancé, Brian Sweeney, who gave an interview just before 9/11 about landing his dream job with one of the most storied firehouses in New York City, Rescue 1.
Everyone gives us a lot of respect because they always see us running into the burning buildings as everyone else is leaving.
I see your face completely light up when you talk about Brian.
He makes me happy. I would never, people are like, would you have rather have never met him? Absolutely not.
On 9/11, Brian got the call to the World Trade Center.
I personally had a sense, like that first night that he was gone, I just felt this emptiness in my heart.
2 weeks later, the Red Cross took Melissa to the still smoldering Ground Zero.
They show you the pile and you could smell it. You know, I think it was their way of telling us that he was gone.
It took 76 days for rescue teams to find Brian Sweeney. They identified him by his tattoos. In total, 343 New York City firefighters were killed on 9/11.
I stood there and I said, God didn't do this, people did.
Melissa sought justice for Brian at the military courts in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
It's not about people who are saying they're innocent.
The 5 9/11 suspects, including the self-described architect of the attacks, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, are stuck in legal limbo.
I really do believe that they should have their day in court, and I want my day in court, and I want to hear the evidence.
Defense attorney Edward McMahon Jr. represented 9/11 al-Qaeda suspect Walid bin Attash, who is accused of working directly with al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden.
What explains a delay of 2 decades?
The military courts are unable to handle these trials in any efficient manner whatsoever. They've never had a complex death penalty case with multiple defendants.
In 2009, President Obama's effort to bring the defendants to trial in New York City failed. Yet, from the very beginning, defense attorneys say there's been a government secret so closely held that it's paralyzed the court.
I don't think the CIA would care if this trial never went forward.
Before the 9/11 defendants got to Guantanamo, the Bush administration held them in CIA secret prisons, where they were interrogated using extreme tactics that critics called torture. To this day, the program remains highly classified.
Did you see evidence that showed your client at the time had been tortured in CIA custody?
No, I can't answer that question.
Is it a classification issue?
I'm trying to think of how to say this so I don't get arrested. But I don't believe the agency itself has ever conceded that it occurred, and certainly have never conceded that they tortured anybody.
Who has the power to say enough is enough, to end this?
The President of the United States. My prediction is that the 9/11 defendants will die of natural causes in Gitmo before there's a trial.
Have the families been let down?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Nobody cares about the trials. There's no political will, I guess you'd say, for that to happen, and that's a shame.
A spokesman for the military trials tells CBS News the cases are complex and they are committed to a fair and just outcome, but offered no timeline. The Biden administration wants to close the Guantanamo detention camp scale.
Catherine, thank you. She raised some interesting questions there. 20 years does seem a very long time.
You know, it's a good interview when the person you're talking to says, let me see how I can say this without getting arrested.
Yes.
Right, and when you don't have answers, you're constantly reminded of the pain.
And we need those answers.
Exactly.
That is something that President Biden could do.
You're right.
There's a whole lot more to that story.